We're good to go. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for jumping on here with us for I think the fourth installment of the Vital Storm webinar series this year on how do I know my marketing will work. So before we jump in, I'll take a quick second to introduce Josh, who's with us today. He's one of Vital Storm's founders, one of the whole reasons Vital Storm has been in existence for the last 10 plus years. So a lot of credit goes to Josh. I'll turn things over to him here in just a second.
Oh, man. You're making me blush, dude.
Hey, I had to make up for the error I just had here. And so thanks again, Josh, for being with us here. And for everybody that may or may not know me, my name's Austin. I lead the sales team here at Vital Storm. So I really head up all of the relationships conversations that go on a daily basis here. So I'll turn things over to Josh here for just a second. If you have anything you want to add, and then we'll jump in and get started.
I just want to say hi. I think you're right. I think this is the fourth webinar we've done this year. These have gone really well. Well, this is the fourth in this series. You and I have been a part and led other ones. Had a really great one yesterday. But we're not here to talk about that. We're going to talk about this big question that looms over all of us who are paying for marketing. And it's how do I know how marketing is going to work? We had this big idea, this big plan. Maybe your business partner came in and said, hey, let's try this. Or you've got someone that works on your team that wants to do something. We want to kind of put that at ease, put it to rest. How can you have the peace of mind knowing that whatever we set our mind to, we know the direction to go in so that we can make this work. So we're not just shooting in the dark, because nobody likes feeling like they're shooting in the dark. Accidental is not a good strategy, right? Sometimes we accidentally make a mistake. Sometimes we accidentally win. We accidentally do something good. That's still not a good strategy. We want to know how our marketing is working. So Austin, I'm going to kick it back to you. You can get us started.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you were just saying, there are a lot of local marketers and home service companies that I talk to. They find themselves struggling on either a daily, monthly basis. I actually got an email from a guy this morning saying he's had 8 marketing companies over the last 2 years and nobody could figure it out for him.
What a nightmare.
And I kind of told him that I gave him a summary of what we were about to do. And I said, usually it might not be the advertising that's the problem. It usually could be you're in the right place, you're doing the right things, but the messaging could be wrong. And so that kind of is the underlying tone of what we'll be talking about today.
Great advice.
A lot of people might be missing that the underlying truth that makes your campaigns actually work. So what we'll cover today, we're going to cover 3 topics, and we'll have some few bullet points within those 3 topics. You'll have a lot to take away today about learning how your marketing is or isn't working. But what we'll talk about today is really, first off, we'll talk about the underlying truth of an effective marketing strategy. Then we'll talk about the 2 major buckets of advertising. Which one's right for you? Is it this one, or is it that one, or is it both? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll talk about making sure that you're covering all of the bases to make sure that you're covering a wide net of marketing services for your business. So we'll jump in here to this first one, Josh. Let's talk more about user intent. And so we'll cover what is user intent, why is it so important, and then understanding those 2 major buckets, and then we'll break those down. So Josh, I'll turn things over to you here to jump into user intent.
Absolutely. So you position this already, Austin, as the underlying truth to having effective campaigns. Marketing is simply this: getting a message out there. And how are we going to get that message in front of the right audience at the right time, especially in local services? If you're a plumber, electrician, maybe who's on here? Maybe you're Millie's Plumbing or you're Shelby's Electric, and you have a message to get in front of an audience. You've learned by now that not everyone's your customer, right? And you can spin your wheels on certain ads and wonder, why does this not work, but this one does work? We want to zoom out and let's go all the way back to user intent. what is the intent state is what we like to call it. What's the intent state that user is in when they want to see or when they engage with a message? And so one of my favorite examples to use here, because everybody understands this, if we decided after this webinar, we were all going to go to a happy hour. I know it's 11 a.m. here in Central Time.
5 o'clock
but
somewhere.
maybe, yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Or maybe it's mimosas. That makes you not feel so guilty about having something to drink before lunch. But let's say we're going to go to a happy hour and we walk in and we see some people sitting at the bar already. And let's call them two guys. They're just having the time of their life. They're talking up a storm. You can tell they're about 2 beers in. So, they're having a really good time. And we're going to walk up to them and interrupt them and see if they're interested in learning more about tankless water heaters. They're going to look at you like you've lost your mind because that's not their intent. Their intent is to be there and have a good time. So if we're going to get a message across to those guys, we got to find a completely different way. And so that's something we'll talk about here in a little bit when we talk about social media marketing. But we need to understand the intent of the user, especially when we're talking about online marketing or digital marketing or search marketing, because there's so many channels there. We need to know which one we should be in so that we can know that our strategies will work because we're addressing the right user intent. The user intent means what is that user or customer or buyer intending to do in that current state of mind that they're in? Are they researching? Are they in a recreational space? Are they just perusing? We all know what it feels like to walk into maybe a clothing store, and the first thing that comes out of everyone's mouth that sees you is, how can I help you? And the first thing out of your mouth is, oh, I'm just looking. We all know that's not true. It's because you don't want to be approached in that way in that time. But what do? As soon as you find something that you like, you're looking for that person. I have a question about this, or do you have another size, or can you get me a fitting room? Your intent has changed, even though you were there to buy something. You weren't in that intent state yet. And so those are important psychological things that we need to understand as marketers, so that we can have peace of mind that when we put a message out there, that it's gonna resonate. And marketing is always an experiment. So sometimes we have to A/B test and see which one's effective, and then we make our adjustments. But we want to get started on the right foot, and getting started on the right foot is understanding the user intent. That's why it's so important. So for us in online marketing, well, actually this will work in all advertising, but we're going to focus on online marketing today, is that user intent kind of falls into two buckets. And Austin mentioned that we're going to talk about those two channels. One is permission advertising or permission marketing, which basically means we have permission to show a message to this audience. And I'll explain that in a second. The other one is interruption marketing, which means we don't have permission, so we're gonna have to interrupt them. Yep. So go back to the bar with me. The guys sitting at the bar, they're 2 drinks in, having a great time. We're tapping on their shoulder to sell them tankless water heaters. That's interruption, but that interruption message isn't going to resonate with them. Right. Maybe you tap on their shoulder and you ask what their favorite drink is, so you get some advice from them, and then you come back, oh, hey, by the way, that's a foot in the door. There's ways to apply interruption marketing online so that we can get those audiences' attention, but we're going to talk those separately. So what are we moving on to first, Austin? Are we going to talk about permission first?
Yeah, let's jump into permission marketing first, and talk about really the importance of understanding the user intent of the people that are already searching and they want to see the services that you have to offer.
So think about this. Permission marketing is someone has raised their hand. They want your service. Ooh, me over here. I want what you got. So you see this lady here. She's hailing a cab. There's no mistake in the cab driver's mind that person wants a cab. And so how do we get in front of people who already have their hands up for our service? So listen, if you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're an HVAC company, you're in home services, the fate just does its job, and people need plumbers to come fix their plumbing. People need an air conditioning repair company to come in and fix their air conditioner. Breakdowns happen. We don't have to cause that. In fact, if we did, we'd probably be in a lot of trouble. I think that's sort of if the mafia ran home services, that's probably how they would stay in business. And they would send out a crew at night to just break and bust everything up, and then they'd come in the morning and sell them a repair. That's not how we do things in the real world. That's not how the neighborhood plumber gets his reputation. So we need to look for people that have their hands up. Well, there is a certain number of people that woke up today that needed their toilet fixed, that needed their drain line cleaned. They needed a main line repair. You cannot create those opportunities. All you can do is capture those opportunities. So paid placement in local search is super important in this permission space, because when someone goes online and they search for a Phoenix plumber, they're in a way saying, you have permission now to show me results. And so they're in a buying state, they're in a researching state, they're looking for a service that your messaging now can meet them in that moment, in that intent. And so paid placement is super important. Also, organic placement as well, because we want to show up in as many places online when people are searching. And also, everyone likes organic because it's free. Well, technically it's not free, because you do need to pay someone to manage that for you, whether it's you're using your own time, that costs you, or you've hired someone on your team, or you hired an agency or an expert somewhere. So organic placement still costs you, but you need to be showing up in those places so that we can take advantage of this permission marketing. We need to understand the user intent. They've got their hand raised, they need help. And how do we deliver that message? Also, you see there remarketing and conversion tracking for the full optimization. That's just kind of closing the back door, making sure that when we get our message in front of someone who is their hand raised, then we are going to make sure that if they somehow don't engage with us, we get another opportunity in front of them. And we've all seen those remarketing ads before. You may not have heard the term remarketing or know that that's what they're called. But when you visit a site or a page, and then you leave that site or page and you see ads for that same company, well, they have a remarketing strategy in place. And that's just to give them another opportunity to get in front of you. Some of you already know about that. Also, conversion tracking, that's not something we're going to get into today, but that's just a way for us to maximize what's going on with those opportunities. So we're zooming out. We want to know and have the peace of mind. How do we know our campaigns are working, or future campaigns will work? How do we take that first step, knowing, okay, this is the right direction, and then I'm going to improve from beyond there? It's understanding user intent. And inside of user intent, we've got that permission bucket and we've got the interruption bucket, which we're going to go to here in a minute. So look, now that we understand the channels inside of permission marketing, permission advertising, we understand that in that space, customers have their hands raised and they're saying, I need a plumber, I need an electrician. That then dictates how we message to them. So this will come together when we talk about interruption marketing, but now, because their hand is raised, we can come at them with that message that we shared in that example at the bar. Hey, can I interest you in a tankless water heater? That message will be received. Or if we come at them with an offer or a call to action, that will be received. And so in permission marketing, we can be a little bit more free to tell them about ourselves, to tell them what we do, and share an offer or call to action. And we can be a little bit more forward when it comes to our messaging. So the channels are online search, and the message can be upfront, and here's an offer, and it's got a call to action. All right, let's go now, Austin, to the interruption stuff so that we can now compare these and have a little bit better understanding of how these two things work. Hey, I'm doing all the talking. Do you want to jump in here? You got anything to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the interruption marketing, I feel like there's a lot here too, because this is something that's really new. This is something that are all these new avenues where we're seeing ads on these different placed areas. We're wondering how they're seeing it. Is there somebody inside our phone listening to us? All of those different sorts of things. But if they're done right, you can get in front of a lot of people that are in your market needing your services and you can win a lot of customers by just
Yeah.
doing this new thing called interruption marketing.
New in the sense that to this industry, this local
Right.
service industry, there are so many more channels available, so many more options available. Um, uh, and you're exactly right. It would be difficult for us to engage in interruption marketing 10 years ago as a local service company. So when you think about interruption marketing, think about radio ads, think about TV ads, think about billboards. These are things that you didn't, they're there whether you asked for it or not. When you watch your favorite show, it's interrupted with commercials. When you listen to your favorite radio station, it's interrupted with commercials. When you're driving down the highway, your view is interrupted with billboards. And so that's the difference between interruption and permission. Is interruption gets the message in front of you whether you ask for it or not. It sounds kind of harsh, like they're just going to interrupt my day, but we can utilize interruption to get a message in front of people that they may not be otherwise keen to. They don't know about that service you provide. And so for us in online marketing, especially in local services, is that the interruption channels are things like social media, and there's also paid and organic search that we can do with interruption as well. But we just wanted to mention that there, it mostly falls into the permission because people are searching and they're asking. But then there are tactics and things we can do on top of that. We can layer audiences on top of that behavior and come back to them and interrupt them with new services. That's something we're probably not going to have time to get into today, but that can be done. But the main thing to focus on here is social media, because everyone's on it. And we all know what it's like to be scrolling through our social media feed and we see an ad and we go right past it. We don't want to talk about that. We don't care. We're a little annoyed. And then sometimes we catch ourselves like going down a rabbit hole going, whoa, what is this? Oh my gosh, that ad got me. I actually bought something. This hat I'm wearing, I actually bought from a social media ad, and they got to me in the right way with the right message. So if we're going back into that bar and we're going to interrupt these two gentlemen having a drink, and we're trying to make them aware of a product or service that they may not already be aware of and they're not looking for, then we've got to tailor our message in a way that piques their interest so that they ask for it. And it's always the what's in it for me sort of messaging. So if we would go back to permission marketing, we can be more upfront, and we're going out there and we're capturing the demand. People have their hands raised. We're going to get in front of those hands, say, oh, we're going to raise our hand and say, we have what you need. Here's our service. Here's our message. Here's a call to action. Act now. And then we capture that demand.
Right.
That strategy doesn't work here in interruption marketing. Instead, we're going to have to put something in front of them that piques their interest. We all have commercials that we love. We all have TV commercials that we hate. And it's the ones that feel like an interruption that we hate, and the ones that grab our attention and take us somewhere with that message are the ones we love. And they're the ones that did the job right. Even these big companies with these big ad agencies are doing it wrong. You can utilize it right. So when you have a more limited budget, starting out as a smaller company, maybe you're a 3 or 4 or 5 truck operation, knowing that there are 500-600 truck operations out there, maybe even in your own market, you can still utilize some of these interruption avenues on social media, but they may not be a big segment of your budget. So don't be stressed out thinking you got to do it all. We recommend that everyone starts in that permission space and you do your best being efficient and lean, capturing as much demand that's already out there with those folks that are giving you permission. I've got a busted pipe. I need a plumber. You raise your hand with their hand already raised and say, well, I'm your plumber and here's my messaging. So in that other bucket with interruption, there's also some things that you're going to be hearing more and more about as time goes on, and that's programmatic and display. You may have already heard about display, but programmatic is another game. It's a game changer. It's another level of that. Where now, if you think about radio advertising, you've got a message you want to get out there to your audience. And so you do some research and you find out that the majority of your audience may listen to this radio station here. Not everyone who listens to that radio station is your audience, but most of them are. So that's my best pond to go fishing in. Well, programmatic is different. You're not targeting that person because they're listening to that station. On programmatic, you're targeting them because they're the person you want to target. So we know so much about their behavior online because Google knows everything about us, that we can leverage that data and we can go after those right customers with the right messaging. Okay, so before we move on and kind of wrap this up, I just want to kind of bring it all together. We're thinking about zooming out and focusing on the user intent. If I want peace of mind and knowing that my campaigns, my strategies will work, that first step is understanding user intent. Now, you still are going to have to tweak and mold your messaging and change, channels and move your marketing around until you dial it in just right. But to get started in the right direction is understanding user intent. I wouldn't go to market on Facebook ads with a permission marketing message. So those messages on Facebook, call now for $50 off AC tune-up, or call now for our $65 AC tune-up, or whatever that message might be. That's just not going to work there, because people who are on Facebook or social media, they're not interested. They could literally be searching for an HVAC company in 1 minute, and then the next minute go to Facebook, and they still don't want to see that messaging there. So you have to bring an interruption message to them. So what would that message be, Austin? So if we're trying to sell our new tune-up, we want to get ahead of the season changing. Here we are. What is it? May, almost May, and that's big tune-up season. Then we could get our Facebook messages out there, and if we start out with call for our $49 AC tune-up, we're not going to get any traction. Right. But if we had a video on there, because we're in the interruption space, so we have to have the messaging that works with that, then our message is probably a video that says or a graphic that says, did you know that X% of your energy bill is due to your air conditioning and your central air and heat not performing up to standard for just a small fraction that equals less than what you pay per month on coffee. You could have this fixed and save multiple times over throughout the year. If you want to learn more, click here. Or a message like, if let's say I already used Phoenix, let's say we're in Phoenix. 85% of Phoenix homeowners did this thing here and saved $250 on their heating and cooling costs. Probably not a lot of heating costs in Phoenix, but you guys get the point. We want a message that says, ooh, I like what's in it for me. I could save on this. You got my attention. Now I've changed my user intent from I'm just here to peruse to now, okay, I'm interested. I might want to buy. That's how that messaging works. And so understanding user intent is going to help you know which direction to go in and which messaging to use. And it's going to help you know why you're so frustrated that those Facebook ads aren't working, because that messaging belongs in paid search on Google, where people are raising their hand saying, I want to buy something. Who's got the best offer? Okay, Austin, how do we wrap this up and get to the next segment?
Yeah, basically now that we've got a pretty good understanding of both of these buckets, whether it's permission or interruption, and we really know who our users are and who we're going after. Now let's kind of take a look at the basic elements of a marketing strategy. So these are kind of everything or every service that really home service companies in today's day and age and almost halfway through 2021 should be utilizing to make sure you're at least capturing the minimum number of users that you possibly can. There's so many more things than just website PPC and SEO, but this will have your bases covered. But keep in mind, there's so much more that you guys can be doing to bring in even more business to you guys through those other channels.
Exactly right. This slide right here should bring you peace of mind, because everything on this list you already know about, and that's the point. Is we don't want this webinar to create anxiety. We want it to bring peace. How do I know my marketing is going to work? Figure out the user intent and let that guide you. Then what am I supposed to do? How do I make sure all my bases are covered? And it's everything you already know. You need to make sure that you take this concept of user intent into your website. What's in it for me when they get on there? Making sure that you're showcasing all your services in a very digestible, understandable way, making sure that your messaging shows that you are that friendly neighborhood plumber, electrician, roofer, whatever it is you do, and that you can be trusted. And then making sure that you have PPC marketing in place. That word PPC stands for pay per click, and that scares a lot of people because they're thinking, "Oh my goodness, I got to pay for this." What if it's all these clicks that aren't out of control, and am I just going to lose money? You need a partner, or you need someone on your team that knows how to do this. And why we love and recommend paid search is because you can control it and you can dial it up or down. And once you have your system dialed in, you can, if you need more calls, you just put a little more juice in. If you need to pull back, you can. Also, if you remember the old days of yellow page ads, you got to pay for that thing, $5,000 or something up front. And then 6 months in, you're like, I'm not getting any calls. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. Well, with paid search, you can make adjustments literally with every day or even many times a day. We don't recommend making too many changes like that, but that's beside the point. You can make the changes as necessary. And so if you're covering your bases, maybe you're just starting out as a brand new home service company, or you've been in the business for a long time and you want to revamp and make sure that you kind of let some old things go and adopt some new things, start with your website and make sure that everything is covered there, that you've got it's easy for them to access your information. They can find the phone number quickly. They can, if they want to communicate, without their voice, they want to type and they want to send messages, make sure there's a form easily accessible. And then make sure you're addressing the intent state that they're in. Like, why would someone come to my website? What would they need? And so understanding your user's intent will help you get the messaging right so that they will want to move forward with you. And then PPC helps you get out there and capture those searches that are already happening. And they're not just coming to your website. No one woke up today and said, you know what, I'm just going to go to Millie's plumbing website and I just feel like I should be there. That's not going to happen. You got to get in front of them, either through a paid search or an organic search. And so organic search is going to take a little bit more time. That's why we start with paid search, because we can get out there and get business, get the phone ringing immediately. And then making sure you're covering all your bases with SEO, the organic search, starting with your map listings, making sure that when someone's out there with their hand up, they can find your map listing, because that's one of the biggest key components of SEO strategy for a local company, whether it's a restaurant or a service company or medical or real estate or insurance, is that map listing. That is a huge vehicle that Google has designed for customers to find the services and the products they need locally. And so you want to make sure you're covered there in the map listings, and then also content on your website. We already addressed that. Making sure it's the content on your website though reflects the way people are searching for you. So you got to know user intent there too. You know your business better than your customers do. So you might search a little bit more technically than they would. How do they search? How do they, what sort of keywords do they use? Maybe it's good for you to do some test searches yourself to see who's coming up. Maybe you ask your spouse or your child or your neighbor or a friend. Invite a friend over who knows nothing about your business, and give them a drink or a hamburger, and then hand them your iPad and say, why don't you do a few searches as if you're looking for a plumber or an electrician, and see what they put in there, and making sure your website addresses those sort of searches, because that's how the average person probably searches. And then making sure all the on-site SEO and off-site SEO is in place. We don't have time to jump into that, but what we do have is some question and answer time. And Austin, I know you're also going to share your contact information. So if anyone today has a question that we can't get into today, like some of those SEO things and some of the programmatic things, and maybe going a little deeper in understanding permission marketing versus interruption marketing, they can reach out to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, before we jump into that last slide there, and before we jump into the question and answer, we've got a couple of resources that we can make available to you guys, which really kind of sums up how do you know if your marketing is working. It's kind of a checklist, and so let me jump out and go over that with you guys real quick. So basically, these next two resources we'll include in the recaps. You'll have access to these. You can find many more resources on our website as well, which I'll throw up on the screen here in just a second. But this first one is just the 8 things that your digital marketing agency should be doing for you. So we don't have time to go through all of these bullet points today, but basically this is an overview of if you already have a digital marketing agency that you're working with, you can run through these 8 bullet points and really kind of grade them on how well they're doing for you. I think we have on here, I think there's 8 different bullet points. You should at least have, 5 or 6 of those checked off as these are things that you're getting. Anything less than that, it might be worth a few minutes of your time to do an overall analysis of who your partner is and are you
So
getting
true. Yeah.
essentially. So this one here, again, this will give you an overview of how well your marketing partner's really working for you. Are they kind of doing the right things? But then also we have something that's called a case study. Everybody knows what case studies are. This is with a particular client of ours that we've worked with for many, many years. And we never try and talk about ourselves or our clients here on these webinars, but this shows and this proves how a true marketing partner, a true marketing agency with the right services and the right things in place, how a marketing campaign can work. And so you guys can go through here, see the stats of growth and leads and conversions and those sorts of things. And these are things that we can provide or other partners can provide to you to show you that your marketing is working as well. So both of these will be included for you guys. So Josh, anything to add on these 2 resources before we jump into Q&A here?
I love that case study because that's a real deal company that has really been impacted by utilizing everything we just talked about today. They're a really great local service company in Tampa, Florida. When we met them, it was all HVAC, but 2 years ago, we were part of helping them launch their plumbing division, and their plumbing has nearly outpaced their electrical in just their HVAC in just 2 years. And I think that's pretty remarkable. So great case study. And those 8 things, man, that's something that anyone should go over that checklist every year, just making sure that they're in proper alignment with their partners that they've brought onto the team so that they're heading in the right direction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let me throw my info up here on the screen. Also, our website is noted here on the screen. We'll leave this up here for a few minutes. We'll take some Q&A. So you guys can either utilize the chat feature or the Q&A feature. Either one will get to us if you guys have any questions. If not, again, I did see a chat come in. You guys will receive a recording of this probably on Monday. We all know how Fridays go. And so you guys will get that on Monday with the resources, recording, everything you guys need to have a quick recap here. So we'll stick around. And then if there's no questions today, feel free to reach out to me via email or phone, and would love to learn more about you guys. Let me open up Q&A.
I think everyone's being shy, Austin.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll hang around for maybe, I know I'm a little slow at typing. I might not be the only one, so we'll stay open for maybe 30 more seconds or so. In the meantime, thanks again for joining us today, guys. Really appreciate you guys wanting to learn more about digital marketing, how it can help your business. I know putting 2 and 2 together is only going to make your business greater. So again, appreciate you guys jumping on. Josh, thanks for doing the majority of the talking here, sharing all your knowledge and experience over the last 15, 20 years in this industry. So just overall great experience for everybody.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks for leading this discussion with us, Austin. And I just want to, anybody that's still left on, please reach out to Austin if you have any questions. We love answering those questions. We're just here to kind of give back and help everybody in whatever situation they might be in.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I haven't seen any come in, so we'll go ahead and jump off. So again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time in May.